Deep in the New Zealand wilderness, emergency responders found the ruins of an isolated farmhouse. The heat had been so intense that virtually everything inside the structure was reduced to gray, smoking ash. Sifting through the debris, investigators made a grim discovery. They recovered the badly burned remains of 25-year-old Mia and her grandfather, Richard. But resting on the charred frame of the dining room table was a complete anomaly. An ancient book sat there perfectly intact, without a single scorch mark on its binding. The book's survival suggests a specific predatory logic. It operates with the persistence of a virus, ensuring its own preservation while the surrounding environment is reduced to ash. The physical anatomy of the book reveals its intent. The cover is bound in stitched, mismatched leather patches, housing thick pages filled with archaic text written in deep red ink. Right in the center, an embossed emblem acts as a warning label, a distorted, demonic face trapped tightly within a web of tangled tree roots. Cracking open that cover is an activation switch. The moment a reader turns the first page, they initiate a highly calibrated, unstoppable sequence of destruction. This infection requires geographic isolation. The farmhouse sat entirely alone, surrounded by misty pine forests, the exact reason Mia traveled there by herself to clear out her missing grandfather's estate. The sequence begins the moment Mia unwraps the book in the garage. As she speaks the words written in red ink, she inadvertently initiates a biological countdown. Within seconds, a severe, stinging sensation erupts across the fingers of her right hand. The burning sensation precedes a visible physical invasion. A dark, thin line begins creeping rapidly beneath her pale skin, spreading inward like a growing root. Once the host is successfully tabbed, the entity turns its attention to the landscape. It targets the surrounding environment to prevent any chance of escape. The local ecology goes haywire. The daytime sky turns pitch black. The nearby lake violently churns, and crows circle the farmhouse. The book terraforms the immediate environment, locking down the perimeter to create a perfectly sealed chamber. This exact sequence had already driven Mia's grandfather, Richard, into hiding. He survived the initial trigger years earlier by retreating into the wilderness by the lake. He was desperate to escape the psychological torture. The final stage involves the complete override of the host's body. The entity hijacks Richard's nervous system, turning his anatomy into a vessel for the artifact's intent. The physiological takeover is extreme. Thick black veins bulge outward across his neck, and his eyes roll back until they are completely, sickeningly white. The artifact begins to run on total automation. In a dead-still room, the heavy parchment pages of the book start violently flipping back and forth. As each page turns, those same circular root symbols from the cover spontaneously sear themselves directly into the wooden walls of the farmhouse. Richard's original consciousness has been entirely deleted. The grandfather is gone. What remains is a biological drone, programmed to execute the artifact's final directive. The drone silently advances on Mia. He grips a heavy metal candle stand, ignoring the pain as boiling wax melts directly onto his bare skin. Mia fights back, shoving him against a wall. The impact knocks the candle stand into the drapes, initiating a fire that allows the book to begin its destruction of evidence phase. Trapped by the rapidly spreading inferno, Mia makes a desperate run for the kitchen, trying to force open a window and escape into the dark woods. Looking through the glass, she spots the horrifying figure of a burned girl in the trees, but the face staring back is a vision of her own future. The curse operates as a closed time loop. The moment she arrived at that property and opened the cover, her death was already a structural guarantee. The fire consumes absolutely everything. Both the human hosts and the surrounding structure are systematically erased by the burning flames. It is a self-contained system. The artifact leverages human curiosity to gain entry, burns down reality to cover its tracks, and ensures when the smoke clears, it is the only object left waiting in the ashes.